Okay, everyone, today you're welcome back to my channel. We are talking about forgetting, Psychology 103, Psychology of Learning. We're talking about forgetting. What is forgetting? Remember, this course is all about learning, right? Now, why have you learned something and just to use the information, the knowledge you learned and you couldn't? What happens and why does that happen? That is what we're going to talk about, and that is forgetting. When we have this, when we are unable to retrieve information we stored in the memory, yes, it is called forgetting. Yes. So we have theories of forgetting. We have the interference theory. We have the trace decay theory, we have the retrieval failure theory. Now, interference theory. This theory highlights two types of interference: proactive interference and retroactive interference. So, proactive interference occurs when a new information, right, prevents you from retrieving previously learned information. Previously learned information in your memory, and that new information comes and prevents you from retrieving it. That is proactive interference. You know, that moment you've gone through a particular course and the next lecturer comes in and then he's talking another thing, and oh boy, there is conflict, right? I'll use personally myself as an example. I've had a knowledge of a particular part of a scripture that I have the, let's say, the King James version of it. Then no, I have the easy to read version of it. Then at a point I was expected to memorize the King James version. They were too different. Till date, it happened a long time ago, but till date, I still could remember the easy to read version. But that King James version that I needed to learn newly, I could not. This is called retroactive interference. Retroactive, when old learned information interferes with new learning. In proactive, that is the opposite. When old information prevents you from learning a new one. Am I okay? That is retroactive. In proactive, new information prevents the retrieval of old one. Please let me not confuse us, please. So in proactive, the new learning prevents you retrieving the old information, while in retroactive, at this point, the new information, the old one, is the one preventing the new one from having a space. So this is interference theory. So interference theory is saying that forgetting occurs due to this interference of several learned stimulus, several learned information, whether in previously one, interfering with the old one, proactive, or the old one interfering with a new learning. These things result to forgetting. And remember, the behavior here is forgetting, and the theories are explaining why we forget. And this interference theory says that why we forget is because of these interferences that happen between these two types of memories: retroactive memory and proactive memory, right? Please don't get it confused. The second theory is the trace decay theory. The trace decay theory is another theory of forgetting that says that forgetting occurs as a reason of decay of neurons in the brain. And why did it decay? Because of not using the information or that memory for a long time. Yes. Okay. I could use my mother as an example, right? She could remember at some point, oh yeah, I remember William Shakespeare, we read all of those books, Much Ado About Nothing. She could still quote Orlando and what he said, right? I'm sorry to deny you such fair and excellent ladies anything, but all of those statements, right? She can quote them, but almost everything that she memorized before, she could not. You know the information is there, but she has not been using them over time. That is why we emphasize on learning, practice. It's important in learning to always be vivid. Remember, I said in one of my videos that when you learn a new behavior, a new neuron grows. A new neuron grows in your brain to store that memory. And if you don't use the information, it's almost like the neuron dies off. With the key word here is transient. Transient informations always decay off. That is trace decay. That's why we make efforts, concerted efforts to remember. We try to memorize, we try to repeat the reading, we try to go back and not just straight away. We have learned it and we're waiting for exam time. We read and we revise and we study till we don't wait till exam to come before we start studying. That's why we are bringing this to your doorstep. At the point, it is very important. It's not best when you engage in it in these videos during exam time. It's best to study it and let it be part of you, so that trace decay will not happen, that you just read and learned and dropped it. Oftentimes, what this story is saying that forgetting occurs because we do not have it vividly. We do not go back. It has been long we use that memory. And what happens? Trace decay. You can't trace it because it has decayed off, right? That is the trace decay theory of forgetting. The third one, retrieval failure theory, says that forgetting occurs as a reason of inability to retrieve the information you stored. Inability. And this one is also saying that when you are having inappropriate storage of an information, to retrieve it, it will be wrong. Retrieval failure, it will not come up normal. It will come out on the negative. Imagine a student that did not sleep all through the night and has crammed, let's use the word crammed, that exam, not having a good understanding. At that point, your brain may not want to, in fact, cannot even move until you come out from the exam hall and then you see ventilation and the breeze and everything you read last will come up. You remember everything you tried to grind your head, your brain, they were not moving because there was no oil, right? The engine will not work. You will just hold your forehead. Why can't I remember? Why can't I? What is going on? Retrieval failure, forgetting. So the retrieval ability and capacity fails. So we understand that. So enhanced memory, we also, this is a very important topic we also know. Ways to enhance memory, right? We talk about rehearsal, elaborate rehearsal. That is one that will help trace decay. We even help retrieval failure not to occur, right? So all of those, rehearse. When we say rehearse, we mean read again and again. Then we talk about chunking. Chunking is another way we try to chunk informations. Instead of having it in a large form, we try to bring it to a little. For example, of chunking is ocean, O-C-E-A-N. That is a chunked word for the personality types we have, types of personality. Openness to experience, conscientiousness, extroversion, agreeableness, and neuroticism. So at this point, I don't need to go trying to remember them. I have known this ocean. and I know those words and what they mean. So another way is use of mnemonics and acoustics, use of sounds. You abbreviate them, all of those things. These are ways to, ECOWAS, all of other things. These are ways you help memory vivid and remember them instead of forgetting them. So in this video, we have explained and reviewed what is forgetting and theories of forgetting and how to enhance memory. And please, I may want to also add here that adequate sleep. These are adequate sleep, adequate dietary, adequate exercise. These are healthy lifestyles that will enhance memory, that will help learning in general, right? And like I said, diligent in study and rehearsal and using other learning techniques. Thank you, and see you in the next video.